Hollywood was full of mystery, glamour, and, of course, scandal. But behind all that glitz, many of the industry's biggest stars were hiding one very big secret. Some were so good at keeping it under wraps, you'd swear they were living in a different century. Today we're diving into the world of the secretly gay actors of the golden age of Hollywood, those who kept their true identities hidden from the public eye. 15th, Tyrone Power. Tyrone Power, Hollywood's classic heartthrob, who made the ladies swoon and the men, well, let's just say, swoon in a different way. This guy was the definition of handsome, playing every leading role with a charisma that could melt butter. But behind the glitz and glam of his dashing on-screen persona, Power had a secret. He wasn't as interested in the ladies as Hollywood wanted us to believe. Yep, Power was known for his relationships with men, including some rumors about an affair with fellow actor William Holden. Power kept his love life so under wraps that even in today's world, the details are still a bit murky. He was basically the master of the "I'm the ultimate heartthrob, but don't look too closely at my personal life" move. The fact that he kept up this facade in such an openly gay era, pure Hollywood magic. So, next time you see him on screen, just remember, he might not have been the ladies' man you thought he was, but he was certainly someone's man. 14. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson, the guy who made every woman's heart race and every man in Hollywood nervous. On screen, he was the epitome of rugged masculinity, handsome, tall, and seemingly perfect. Off screen, well, he was hiding a major secret. Rock Hudson was gay, and not just a little bit. He had a tight relationship with his agent, Henry Wilson, and a string of partners that didn't match his public image. In fact, Hudson spent much of his career crafting the ultimate straight persona, all while playing the field with his fellow men. The irony here? Everyone in Hollywood kind of knew, but because of the pressure to maintain that macho image, Hudson kept it hush-hush. He was like a walking contradiction. Tough guy on screen, secret lover off screen. Honestly, Rock was like the original "don't ask, don't tell" poster child. But eventually, Rock came out publicly in 1985 after his AIDS diagnosis, which only made the public's jaw drop even further. Guess he wasn't as good at hiding things as he thought. 13th, Cary Grant. Cary Grant was the kind of guy who could make a woman faint just by raising an eyebrow. That suave, sophisticated charm had women eating out of his palm, and men, well, let's just say they probably saw him in a different way too. Cary was Hollywood royalty, the epitome of elegance, wit, and undeniable good looks. But underneath all that glamour, he was hiding something. Let's just say his romantic interests didn't always match up with his public persona. Rumor has it, Grant had a penchant for men, including a long-standing rumored relationship with his close friend, actor Randolph Scott. The two lived together for years, and their bromance was the talk of the town, though everyone pretended to not notice. Cary was like the George Clooney of his time, except he wasn't just wooing the ladies, he was secretly stealing the hearts of men too. The truth came out much later in his life, but by that point, Grant had long since perfected the art of being everyone's perfect gentleman. Guess he was just too smooth for his own good. 12th, Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy, the man who could do no wrong on screen, except when it came to women. Off screen, Tracy was known for being a bit of a mystery, and no, it wasn't because he had some secret life as a private detective. The truth? Tracy had a long-running affair with fellow actor Katharine Hepburn, but there's another twist to the story. He was also suspected of having several romantic relationships with men throughout his life. But let's be real, Spencer Tracy was the epitome of a tough guy with a secret, and he had the entire world fooled. He managed to keep his private life out of the public eye so well that even his closest friends didn't know the full extent of his true preferences. Maybe it was the pressure of being in a public relationship with Hepburn, or maybe Tracy just liked keeping his cards close to his chest. Either way, he was Hollywood's king of keeping things under wraps, and that's what makes his story so legendary. Tracy wasn't just a great actor, he was also a master of playing the straight man in real life, until the curtain fell. 11. William Haynes. William Haynes was a famous actor in the 1920s and 30s, but what made him stand out wasn't just his acting chops. It was his reputation for being a little too fabulous for Hollywood's liking. Haynes wasn't shy about his love for men, and at a time when gay actors were expected to keep their personal lives secret, he couldn't have cared less. In fact, he was one of the first actors to live openly as a gay man in Hollywood, refusing to hide his relationships or his love for the fabulous life. His career didn't take the same path as others, however, because when the studios found out that Haynes wasn't exactly the wholesome guy they marketed him to be, they dropped him like a hot potato. But instead of letting the industry grind him down, Haynes did something few actors did. He went on to live his life, unapologetically gay and fabulous, opening a club that became a hotspot for other closeted stars. In Hollywood, Haynes was a pioneer, a star who refused to be boxed in by the industry's demands, and for that, he gets major kudos. 10. James Dean. James Dean, the iconic bad boy of Hollywood with that tragic, heart-wrenching gaze that made hearts melt. But here's the twist. James Dean wasn't quite as straight-laced as the world thought. He was a huge sex symbol, but behind those moody eyes, there were whispers of his attraction to men. In fact, rumors swirl that Dean had a long, secret relationship with his close friend, actor and director Nicholas Ray. It was like Hollywood's worst-kept secret, except no one was brave enough to actually talk about it. Dean's personal life was a mess of mystery, but his cool, rebel image made him the ultimate heartthrob. While the world was convinced he was the poster boy for teenage angst, Dean was secretly wrestling with his identity. The fact that Dean died so young only added to the mystery of his life, leaving us all wondering what could have been if he had lived to tell his story. 9. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was Hollywood's tortured soul, the man whose emotions ran so deep that his performances were electric. But behind the method acting and soulful eyes, there was a secret that Hollywood didn't want anyone to know. Clift was gay. Now, this wasn't exactly a shocking revelation, given the actor's closeness to men and his constant struggles with his sexuality, in a time when it wasn't exactly acceptable to be open about such things. But instead of living the out and proud life, Clift kept it in the shadows, suffering in silence while trying to maintain his reputation as the brooding, misunderstood hero. His relationships with women on screen were legendary, but in private, he was much more likely to be found in the company of a man. Clift's tragic life, he struggled with substance abuse and mental health issues, only made his secret even more heartbreaking, adding layers of complexity to his already troubled persona. His story is a painful reminder that sometimes the most beautiful souls in Hollywood are the ones carrying the heaviest burdens. 8. Charles Laughton. Charles Laughton was the British actor known for his roles in classics like The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Mutiny on the Bounty. He was famous for his larger-than-life performances and the ability to take on any role, no matter how grotesque or outlandish. But when it came to his personal life, Laughton was much less theatrical. He had a secret, and it was one that would have sent the gossip columns into a frenzy had anyone known at the time. You see, Laughton was gay, and his marriage to actress Elsa Lanchester was more of a cover than a fairy tale romance. In reality, Laughton's love life was far more complicated, and he spent much of his time in relationships with men. Hollywood didn't quite know what to make of him. His acting career was flourishing, but his personal life was filled with secrets. Laughton's ability to hide in plain sight made him one of Hollywood's best-kept secrets for years. But, much like his roles, his private life was far more colorful than anyone could have imagined. 7. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra was smooth, suave, and undeniably cool. But behind the microphones and the crowd-pleasing performances, there were whispers about his other interests. Sinatra was known for his infamous relationships with women, from Ava Gardner to Marilyn Monroe, but there were also rumors about his relationships with men. Sinatra never openly confirmed or denied his sexuality, but some insiders believe he had affairs with various men throughout his life, including actor Cary Grant. If you've ever seen Sinatra perform,
let's have a nightcap, let down your hair.
You know he had a certain charm and chemistry that made you wonder, was that just part of his act, or was there more to it? Hollywood was filled with rumors, and Sinatra's private life was no exception. Was he truly the ladies' man everyone thought he was, or was he just a man of many talents? 6. Victor Garber. Victor Garber was the heartthrob actor of Broadway and film, known for roles in Titanic and Alias. Garber spent decades in Hollywood, winning hearts with his charming performances. But all the while, there was something else going on behind the scenes. Garber had a longtime partner, Rainer Andreessen, and it wasn't until later in life that he openly acknowledged his sexuality. But before he came out publicly, Hollywood had all kinds of whispers about his private life. Some said that Garber's relationships with men weren't just rumors, they were well known in the industry. Even though Garber kept things relatively quiet during his career, once he opened up, his fans were nothing short of supportive, and it's clear that the Titanic star had no issue being himself. Just another reminder that sometimes Hollywood's biggest stars are the ones with the most well-kept secrets. 5. Sal Mineo. Sal Mineo was the original rebel with a cause, a heartthrob in the 1950s who made his mark in iconic roles like Rebel Without a Cause. Mineo was a gifted actor, but his personal life was far more controversial. Mineo was one of the first actors in Hollywood to be openly gay during his time, and let's just say that didn't do him any favors. He was a rising star in the industry, but being gay in Hollywood back then was like trying to climb a mountain while blindfolded. His relationships with men weren't just whispered about, they were well known, and many believed that his career suffered because of it. Despite that, Mineo was unapologetically himself, refusing to conform to the norm the studios tried to impose on him. A true rebel in every sense of the word. 4. Tab Hunter. Tab Hunter was the epitome of 50s blonde good looks, an all-American, clean-cut heartthrob. His smile could light up a room, and women couldn't get enough of him. But behind the perfect image, Hunter was hiding something big. He was gay, and in an era when that wasn't exactly acceptable. Hunter's secret was one of the worst kept in Hollywood. In fact, he had a long-term partner in the 1950s, actor Anthony Perkins, but kept it so hush-hush that the world only knew much later in life. The idea that one of Hollywood's biggest heartthrobs was secretly gay, that was enough to make heads spin. Tab's story isn't just one of romance, but also one of perseverance in a time when being true to yourself could destroy your career. He eventually came out in the 80s and became an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, but let's be honest, we all knew something was up back in the day. 3. Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins, best known for his role as Norman Bates in Psycho, was an actor who had Hollywood fooled. With his intense gaze and tortured performances, Perkins could have been the classic straight leading man. But he wasn't. Behind closed doors, Perkins was gay and had a long-term relationship with Tab Hunter, but his sexuality was a topic of constant tension. In an era where being gay could ruin your career, Perkins kept his love life carefully hidden from the public eye. Still, his romantic relationships with men were well known in the industry. His personal life was a tangled web of secrecy, but he played it like a pro. After all, Psycho wasn't just the scariest film he starred in. It was his private life, too. Now, 2. George Michael. George Michael, while not a classic Hollywood star per se, was undeniably part of the celebrity scene during the 80s and 90s. With hit songs like Careless Whisper, George Michael captivated millions with his smooth voice, charm, and seriously good looks. But here's the kicker. He spent years denying his sexuality, despite rumors constantly swirling about his relationships with men. It wasn't until he was arrested in a Beverly Hills restroom in 1998 for engaging in a lewd act that he finally came out of the closet. Talk about a scandal, but once George came clean, his fans had nothing but love and respect for him. He'd been living a lie for years to protect his image, but once the truth was out, he owned it like a legend. Number 1. Richard Chamberlain. Richard Chamberlain was a heartthrob during the 60s and 70s, most famously known for his role in Dr. Kildare. The man had the kind of looks that made women's hearts race, and Hollywood made sure to capitalize on that. But what Hollywood didn't know? Richard Chamberlain was hiding the biggest secret of all. He was gay. While many actors of his time went to great lengths to hide their sexuality, Chamberlain kept his under wraps for years, until he finally came out in the 90s. At that point, his fans were thrilled, and Chamberlain was finally free to live openly, a true testament to living your truth, no matter how many years it takes.
Women wanted to be with him, and men wanted to be him.
Did we surprise you Want more shocking secrets from Hollywood? Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next jaw-dropping story.